Well, hey, book lovers, welcome to another episode of Young Adult Edition. Today, we are talking all about shared worlds within book series. We are incredibly excited because this is something we're seeing more and more of within the book world, but we're going to get to that in just a little bit. In fact, we have some incredible guest stars with us who are doing amazingly in the world of shared worlds. But first, we want to touch base with you, let you know that we haven't seen you in a few weeks. Thanks for bearing with us. We had some things going on behind the scenes, but we are so thrilled to be back. And we've got some book world stuff we are going to be talking about today. But first, Elle Beaumont, how are you doing?
Great. How are you?
I am good, and I know one of us just had a birthday.
I did. I actually had a bookish birthday to celebrate my unknown number. I'm not revealing my age. But I actually went down to Cape Cod this weekend, and we went to this adorable little bookstore, and it actually had this really cute rock garden, and you wrote down book recommendations, and it was just this entire rock garden covered in book recs, and it was amazing.
It was the cutest thing. You actually got to send me a picture of it, and it was just like everywhere covered in book recommendations. So it looked like so much fun.
It
But
really
I'm glad
was.
you had a great birthday. I know you got to spend a little time at the beach as well.
I did.
So lots of fun for you guys. If you are here with us live, we want to hear from you. Wish Elle a happy birthday down in those comments below. And if you are on our replay, we want to hear from you too. We're going to be talking about shared worlds all day long, episode long. And we want to hear your questions. So if you are live with us, let us know. We'll get as many of those answered as we can while we are on air. And then if you have questions while on the replay, we want to hear from you too. We will be monitoring those comments, and we will make sure we get as many answers for you as possible. And hey, if you come up with something that is so dang good and we do not answer it on air, we might just be able to drag these ladies back to get your questions answered. Now, we've got some cool things going on in the book world, but before we get there, we do have new releases for the week. So let's toss those up on screen right now so everybody can see those beautiful books that are coming out this week. Shout out, because I actually have a new book coming out this week too. We are celebrating the release of the Siren Wars Saga Selena's complete trilogy tomorrow. So this is the first complete trilogy within the Siren Wars Saga, and we are celebrating by hanging out with Merweek. So all week long, I have been doing mermaid and merman interviews live right here on facebook.com/k.m.robinson books. And we have been hanging out with mermaids, hanging out with mermen. We had a seashell crown craft day yesterday where we made our own shell crowns. If you have not seen that, check the replay because we give you a couple of different ways to make these gorgeous crowns. And then today, I still have 2 more interviews today, 1 tomorrow, and we have our launch party tomorrow at 3. So much going on in the world of the Siren Wars Saga. And that trilogy comes out tomorrow with a bonus prequel novella all about everyone's favorite brooding merman from the Siren Wars Saga, because I know Elle has her own favorites. But, but we would love for you to check that out. You can kind of see who he was before the story starts, exclusive to this box set omnibus. So if you're here, if you are excited for Shared Worlds discussion, go ahead and leave us some comment love below. And I know that there's some cool stuff coming up in the book world. Elle, you and I are kind of excited about this next one. What recently happened that we need to talk about?
They just announced, well, they being Netflix just announced that they will be doing a Chronicles of Narnia show, which I am thrilled to pieces about because that is just like a snippet out of my childhood and what really made me fall in love with reading and fantasy in general.
I'm excited and a little bit nervous because I really, really liked the ones that they made a couple of years ago. And I'm going to be so sad that it's not the same actors playing the parts. But I'm really excited because they're doing the entire series, which is so much more than they were able to tackle in those movies a couple of years ago. So I'm very much looking forward to it. But I'm also just a little bit sad that some of my actor babies are not going to be in it.
I know, but like it just, I think they're going to be starting like from the beginning, right? That was right. So like the magician's nephew is like, wait, like now that I loved that story, like the prequel to everything and how the wardrobe came to be. And I just loved all of that setup. And then, of course, I loved Narnia itself, but like the original, like all of the stuff that led up to the wardrobe, I loved it.
I am incredibly excited. I think it's going to be interesting. I think we're going to see some interesting things. And I love that we do start from the beginning because everybody usually jumps into the most popular ones.
Right.
But now we get to see it all, which I am very excited about. So I'm gonna be interested to see how Netflix tackles this, how long it kind of takes to do all of these things. But I think it's gonna be rather interesting.
I'm really excited because, I mean, they did really good with the series of unfortunate events because not a fan of the movie, but the series on Netflix, amazing. So I have complete faith in them.
Fantastic. Well, we will see how that turns out. And if you have book world news that we did not chat about today, let us know. We know we have been not here for the last couple of weeks due to a couple of things we did not see coming, but we are super glad to be back, and let us know what we missed, what we need to chat about. We want to hear from you down in those comments below, so let us know what we should be chatting about next week during our book world news. Now, today we are talking all about shared worlds, which I'm very excited about. This is something that we have seen, it's kind of becoming more and more popular within the book world. And we have two fabulous ladies here today. We are having a little bit of tech issues with getting one of the girls on. So we will be jumping in with one of our authors today and pulling on our second author when she is able to get in. But we are going to be talking about shared worlds, what it is, how it works, the behind the scenes. So if you've got questions for us, now is a great time to pop those in. And I know we've got some awesome authors joining us today, and people who are just breaking into the book world who may be interested in doing a shared world experience with people. So now's a great time to actually go ahead and ask us your questions. Nice. And Jessica Julian is here, and she actually didn't know about Narnia. So yes, surprise. Surprise, these things happen. And this is why you're here, to find out about all this great book world news. All right. So we are going to be chatting all about shared worlds today, and we are going to be chatting with both Constance Roberts, author of Lost, and Megan Linski, author of Breathless. Megan is here with us right now, and she is going to start answering our questions about what a shared world is. So Megan, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. We're excited to have you here. This is actually the first time you and I have had the opportunity to chat. I know we've kind of like gone around each other on social media. We're friends on social media, but we haven't actually had a chance to have a conversation yet. So tell me a little bit about what this shared world is and how it kind of works when you bring other authors into this.
Basically, what a shared world is one idea that you and a group of authors come up with, and then you work together to create a series around that idea. So, for example, our series is Twisted Fairy Tales. So, authors picks a different fairy tale to retell and to redo. But with our series, we swap the genders. So, for example, I did The Little Mermaid, but he's a boy instead of a girl.
Fantastic. And Constance Roberts is here. Hey, how are you?
I'm good. Can you hear me okay?
We can. Can you hear us all right?
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful. All right. Well, I'm incredibly glad to see all of you. Thank you so much for joining us. If you've got questions about shared worlds, today is the day. Let us know what you would like to talk about in terms of shared worlds. Now, Constance, I need to know, how did this all come about? I know that this was something that you had been working on for a while, and all of a sudden it's like it's taking the book world by storm. So how did this start for you?
Well, Megan actually approached me. We've been wanting to work on something together for a while, and she just had this brilliant idea of doing a shared world with fairy tale retellings, but with we needed something to make it kind of interesting. So she came up with the idea to reverse the genders of the fairy tale characters to kind of give it, the retelling world just like a different take on things, because so many things have been, retellings are huge, and so so many things have already been covered. So
that is so true, and as somebody who loves fairy tale retellings, I'm very excited to see this, and the fact that you picked that gender swapping, that's kind of a really cool take on it. I do like that a lot. And if you are here with us live or on our replay, we do want to hear from you. Jump to those comments below and give us your best questions, and we will get those answered for you today. So, ladies, how long did it take you to kind of conceptualize this to the time you ended up putting this out?
Well, I came up with the idea about 3 years ago, and we just released the first book in the series in next month, and the second book is coming out next month. So from about conception to actually publishing it, it took about 3 years, but writing the books only took for all of us.
Yeah, I feel like she approached us with the ideas, or with the idea, about a year and a half ago, and now so I've been in on it for about a year and a half. So
fantastic. We actually have Jessica in the comments, and she's saying, so you all create the world, and then you each write a story on a different character within the world, kind of like the TV series Once Upon a Time.
That's true, except
yes, it's exactly like Once Upon a Time.
Yeah, except we just
go ahead, Connie.
Characters don't kind of intermix as much. So we wanted to make sure that they could each be standalone novels. So, but if you enjoy, you can read.
Yeah, because basically, mine is in Florida and Connie's is in London. So each series, each book within the series has a different setting. So
fantastic. So you've all written a story that kind of connects, but it's also very much standalone. They are in different locations, and then you work together to market it as one complete, correct?
Yeah, that's exactly.
Yes, we market together.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. So I know at this point you've got, what, 3 books in this series?
Yep, that's right. We have Little Mermaid, that's Megan's. Peter Pan is mine. And we have Little Red Riding Hood as the boy. And that's by T. Ariana, who couldn't actually make it on today. So,
Elle, I have been dominating this conversation. Do you have questions for the ladies?
That is so fascinating. How do you guys work with the gender swapping? Like, I'm a fan of gender swapping because you see all these retellings that it's the same girl, blah, blah, blah. But how do you guys really make your stories really stand out with the gender swap?
well,
So with
go ahead, Megan.
okay, again, I wanted to do Little Mermaid as a boy because guys have the same emotions and feelings as girls do. So with the Little Mermaid, it was always the idea of wanting to walk on land and be in a place that you've never been before. Because they totally dream about that just as girls do. So I wanted to get a different kind of perspective on it besides just the normal, oh, I'm a girl and I want to, randomly get with a guy or whatever and be whisked away to a fairy tale world. Well, sometimes guys want to be whisked away too. So.
And I chose Neverland I chose Peter Pan because I love Neverland so much. I've always liked the idea of kind of going off to this, secret world where you can just be anything you want to be and do whatever you want to do, and you don't have to worry about growing up and all the adult life problems. But I thought how cool it would be to have girls like the Lost Girls instead of Lost Boys, but the Lost Girls have that sort of like tribe of sisterhood and just the wildness that comes with living in the jungles of Neverland. And so I think even though each story is gender bend, we also bring like our own unique element to it. So like, for example, Neverland is a video game actually that Wendell plays. And so then Pan actually shows up at his apartment and he finds out that Neverland's a real place and he gets to go there. And so that's fun.
That is fantastic. Jessica is down in the comments, and she would like to know, how hard is it to ensure that shared worlds are kept similar yet unique between all of your different writing styles? And Elle, I'm going to let you take over for just a minute because I need to go make sure that noise I just heard was not my puppy falling down the stairs. So I'll be back.
Do you want to take that, Megan?
Yeah, go ahead. Take the...
Sure. Basically, before we even started writing the series, we all decided to work together and create a rule book. to have guidelines so everybody kind of knew what they wanted to do. For example, in our little rule book, we state that it's a modern retelling, but you can be whisked away to a fantasy world. You can stay in modern times. It doesn't really matter as long as you adhere to the rules. And the three basic rules are it has to have some modern elements. You have to have a gender swapped main character. And if you have any other elements from any of the other books in the series, you have to contact the other author first. So really it's a group effort. You don't really write this by yourself. You write this all together with everyone.
Yeah, we spent a lot of time bouncing ideas off each other and just kind of going over the rules of like, hey, is it okay if I do this? Or I want to switch POVs, between the two characters. And we really, it was a very much a group project. So.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that actually
because when you write a shared world, sorry, but when you write a shared world, it's like you can't write it by yourself. Everything you do, it's kind of like co-writing, but you have a little bit more freedom and on other people and ask other people for help along the way too.
Okay, so that begs the question, because you've had all of this experience with this, because you've been doing this for a while, and because it is such a collaborative effort, what advice do you have for someone who's just getting into doing shared worlds with people that they know? Do you have staples that are going to really help them out as they are doing this, or what do you have in terms of boundaries and how to set this up?
Well, I would just say, just come together as, have little like meetings and come up with your rules. Like the basic thing you're going to need is come up with the rules of world building, novel structure, what you're trying to accomplish with this. I think is also, everybody kind of needs to be on the same page as to what you want to get out of this experience. But just making sure everyone's on the same page and nobody's, lost and not included in everything. Just I think if you have the mindset that it's a team effort on this, then you're gonna get things done. So.
Yeah, I would agree with Connie on that. And I would have to say, everybody has to come together and be a team player. There's no I in team. So really choose the people you want in your shared world carefully and pick people who are with the group as a whole and not, just think about their book, because in a shared world, it's not just you and it's not just about your book. It's about everybody's book. So my main piece of advice for people who are thinking about doing a shared world is to pick people that you can depend on and that can be there for you. Because when you're publishing a series that is expansive as what we want it to be, it's going to be very tough to work with people who don't have your back. So.
That is such a good point. It is very important. And I know that you are actually expanding your series. So in terms of where you're looking to go with this series, how many books are you planning on adding into this? Who are you planning on bringing into this? I mean, I know you don't have things picked out yet, but how far do you want to go with this series?
Well, I'll leave that question to Megan since this was her baby. So.
Yeah, so I was the one who came up with the idea. So we've kind of gone back and forth on this a lot lately. My goal was to have 20 books in the series and have 20 different authors be involved. It could go more than that. It could go less than that. We're not sure. What we're looking at for next year is a Pinocchio retelling, a possible Sleeping Beauty, a possible Cinderella retelling. We haven't signed any authors yet, but this is what we're looking at. So we're looking to make this series as big as possible. If it goes to 100 books, who knows? I'm completely okay with that. If people are willing to keep doing this, I'm willing to keep supporting them and being behind them.
Same.
So let's switch gears just a little bit. Talk to me about how your release schedule is looking right now. I know we've got things for next year, but in terms of these first 3 books, do you do it all at the same time? Is it a couple of months apart? How are you putting these out into the world?
Well, the 3 books that we have now, we are putting them out like 1 month at a time. So we already have Breathless, the Little Mermaid retelling out. This coming month, later this month, Lost, the Peter Pan retelling comes out. And next month, Hunted, the Red Riding Hood retelling comes out. So we didn't want to do it necessarily so much all at once, because we wanted to kind of give each book their spotlight and give readers a chance to, read each book if they wanted to. So, instead of like throwing everything at them at once.
Jessica is in the comments, and she would like to know, are you planning on creating a different series in a different world when you're done with this one?
I wouldn't say there's any plans yet. This is kind of like the biggest thing that we can, I think, at least I can handle right now. I am working on my own projects, but we don't, at least if Megan has any other plans, she hasn't told me yet, so.
Well, I always have ideas, but I haven't told anybody anything yet. Yeah, Connie's over there nodding, like, of course you do. Mm-hmm. But working on this series, which is Twisted Fairy Tales. I'm co-writing another series with Alicia Radis, Academy of Magical Creatures. And then I'm working on expanding a couple of other series. So for right now, we're not doing anything yet. But, I could always change my mind, and you can hear in a couple months, oh, we're coming out with something else. So
it's always good to be creative like that and to kind of leave the door open for new things. We do have a quick question down in the comments. Someone is working on a fairy tale retelling, and they were wondering if you are sticking to gender swap for everything within this series, or does it kind of fluctuate a little bit and you're looking for other types of retellings as well?
No, the Twisted Fairy Tales series or shared world is definitely all gender bend. So we are just looking for gender bend retellings. And if, like, say, now we have a Little Mermaid one, so we're not looking for another Little Mermaid one. We want all the fairy tales to be different. Am I right, Megan?
Yeah, pretty much everybody has one fairy tale that they do, and they all have to be gender swap, because we don't want anybody, quote unquote, like, not fighting, but, mine's better kind of thing. We want this to be about unity, not about division. So
fantastic. Elle, do you have more questions? Because I know I came back in and I took over.
I was just formulating one in my head.
Which I ruined, I'm sure.
No, definitely. You did, but
that's how you and I work. We just do things together.
No, it was kind of so do you plan on, in all of these stories and these worlds, do you continue to bring in retellings of fairy tales, or is it a mix of kind of like nursery, or just like all kinds of tales? If that question makes sense, I'm sorry. Cam kind of disturbed my thought process.
All right.
No, that makes sense. I get what you're saying. It doesn't matter what kind of retelling you're doing, as long as it's, some sort of retelling. I'm pretty sure that if we were doing like a nursery rhyme or something, it doesn't matter, as long as it's for our genre, which is the young adult, new adult age, and that it has a gender averse main character. That's the only qualification.
Yeah, I think because eventually, if we get especially to like 100 books, like, we're going to run out of like fairy tale, popular, well-known fairy tales. And so, like, we could definitely reach into like nursery rhymes or any kind of like just legend or something, as long as it's somewhat well known. I did have someone approach me with a retelling of very, very, very obscure, like, legend fairy tale. I hadn't heard of it, but I wanted to, I tried to, I said, well, maybe we can do something like, because we want to make sure that our tagline is always like, what if Peter Pan was a girl? And I want to make sure that the character is someone that people will recognize, like Little Miss Muffet, people at least know, people know who that is, but I would definitely be open to it, as long as it has some sort of like magical aspect to it, because that's kind of, that's the fun of the series. So.
Fantastic. Well, hey, if you are joining us live and you have any last minute questions, we want to get those answered for you. If you are on our replay, we still want to hear from you. Jump into our comments below. Let us know what we have not answered today. And we will be making sure that we monitor those comments and we get those answers for you. And if you come up with something that is so good, but we didn't answer it on air, we might just be able to drag Constance and Megan back for more answered on how it works within a shared world series in the book world. So let us know what questions you have. People are very excited in these comments, ladies, for your series. They would like to know, this is actually a great way to wrap up today, how do they actually submit a pitch to you for the story that they would maybe like to write with you?
So if you're interested in joining our Shared World series, what you can do is send an email to griffinpublishing@gmail.com, and I will add my email in the comments at the end of the broadcast so you can look and see. And just send a query with your first 5 pages, and I will go ahead and take a look.
Perfect. All right, before we go, we do want to know where everyone can find you, ladies, on social media. So, Constance, let's start with you. Where can everybody find you?
You can find me at constancerobertsauthor.com. Also, I'm a huge Bookstagrammer. Thank you, Katie. Katie taught me everything I know about Bookstagram. And I kind of live there now. But I'm at, and I'll put this in the comments, but it's at imagery.in.pages is my Instagram handle. And I love to feature just what I'm reading and other authors and what's going on there.
Fantastic. And Megan, where can everyone find you?
You can find me at www.meganlinski.com. You can also find me on Facebook under Megan Linski, and I'm on Instagram, and my Instagram tag is just my name, Megan Linski, with no spaces or capitals.
Perfect. And before we say goodbye, we know that part of your series is already out, part of it is coming out this month, and part next month. So, Constance, one more time, give me the run-through of what is available and what's available soon.
Breathless by Megan Linski is out now. That's the Little Mermaid retelling as a boy. That one's really exciting. I've personally read it. And Lost by myself, the Peter Pan retelling as a girl will be out October 20th, but you can pre-order it now. And Hunted by T. Ariana, the Red Riding Hood retelling, is going to be out next month, November 20th. And I'm currently reading that one, so it's fun.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much, ladies. We appreciate you being here and hanging out. And before all of you go, we do have some interesting things going on for the rest of the week. And I would love for you guys to join me next week for a brand new episode of Young Adult Edition. We go live every Monday morning at 10 a.m. Eastern with a brand new Bookish World topic. We have amazing authors and book world people on to talk about different topics every single week, and we would love to have you join us next Monday at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And you also can join me today at 2 p.m. Eastern right here on Facebook.com/k.m.robinson books, because we are continuing Mer Week in celebration of the release of the Siren Wars box set omnibus. We are going to be interviewing not one, but 2 more mermaids today. We'll be hanging out with both Mermaid Katya and Mermaid Kayla's later on today at 2 p.m. and at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. And then tomorrow we will be doing interviews with Mermaid Sienna. We're also celebrating the launch of the Siren War Saga box set with a book launch party, games, giveaways. There are party prizes. Everybody's going to walk away with some cool, fabulous things. And we will also be joined by special guest Mermaid Tasha while we are live on air for the book launch party. If you've been to my book launch parties, you know how much fun they are. I would love to have you guys come and join us for that as well. I am K.m. Robinson, author of the Golden Trilogy, the Jaded Duology, the Legends Chronicles, Virtually Sleeping Beauty, the Siren Wars Saga, the Revolution of Jack Frost, and a whole bunch of other fabulous books. And you can find me by going to k.m.robinsonbooks.com and hitting me up on social media at k.m.robinsonbooks on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Snapchat. You can also check out my YouTube channel and my IGTV channel with exclusive content you cannot find anywhere else. And this is my incredible co-host, Elle Beaumont. Let everybody know where they can find you.
You can find me on Instagram at Elle Beaumont Books, and you can find me on Facebook at Elle Beaumont Books. You can find me on Twitter at Elle Beaumont. You can always find me on my website, which is ellebeaumont.books.com. And you can also check out YouTube, Elle Beaumont, for live unboxings and all that good stuff.
We will see you next Monday at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for a brand new episode of Young Adult Edition. Thank you so much for joining us. We talked all about shared worlds today. And do join me later this afternoon as I hang out with some incredible mermaids and learn behind the scenes. I know one of them is showing up in tail today. It's going to be so much fun. We're going to have a great time. If you've got your kids with you, bring them. It's going to be amazing. And we will wrap up the Mer Week celebration tomorrow with our book launch party and more mermaid interviews. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you again next week. Until then, stay inspired. Bye-bye.